welcome to World Building Essentials and Exercises. I'm Lewis Nichols. Today, we're adding to our list of NPCs and contributing to the Running an Economic Campaign playlist, both at the same time. Oh, and there's more. We are also, by far, concentrating on bastions more than any other episode to date. Now, if you're going to skip ahead for that particular part of this, it's about halfway through. All right, now how are we doing this? Everybody, meet Phyllis. She's a founding member of the Ponderosa Posse, making her part of the leadership team overseeing the mining outpost of Armitage. She's an orc, because we haven't done one of those yet. She's also a fighter who's going to subclass as a battle master. Haven't done one of those either. A fighter's primary ability is strength or dexterity, completely up to you. For Phyllis, we're going with strength. Her hit dice is a d10, and she is proficient in the ability scores of strength and constitution. Debatably, the two scores you are least likely to roll a saving throw against. Phyllis gets to choose from a nice grouping of skills. We all know she's not the primary face of the party because we've already decided there is a bard. I'm tentatively going with athletics and perception because they're just so damn useful. Fighters get all the weapons. They get all the armor. However, she basically lives in a desert, so heavy armor just doesn't seem thematic. As a DM, I've been known to penalize characters in heavy armor if it's too hot. I'm probably going sword and board, but we'll hold off that decision for a while. We're writing her up at 5th level, so starting equipment, it really doesn't matter. She's had a few adventures, so her basics are covered. At 1st level, 2024 fighters get to choose a fighting style. I'll bet defense is by far the #1 choice in character creation. Given Phyllis is the party's wall, their tank, their meat shield, this is definitely what we're going with. For starting scores, using the matrix, page 38 of the Players Handbook, I'm going strength 15, dex 14, con 13, intelligence 10, wisdom 12, charisma 8. For a background, I'm going to want something that gives strength and constitution. Thinking ahead, I'll also want a 4th level feat that adds to strength. Out of the book, this is going to be farmer or soldier. I like farmer better, so that's where we're going. That's +2 strength, +1 con, and the tough feat. It's proficiency in carpenter's tools, which I'm going to say she has found training to give her expertise. Alright, back to 1st level fighter stuff. She's got second wind and weapon mastery for up to 3 weapons. She's almost always using a longsword for sap, but carries a warhammer for push and keeps a lance on her mount for topple. Oh, intrusive thoughts. It's a desert. This mount is almost definitely a war camel. Level 2, our orcish warrior picks up action surge and tactical mind. If you didn't know it yet, the latter lets you expend a second wind for a potentially huge bonus to an ability check. 3rd level is subclass time. Battle Masters gain special maneuvers fueled by superiority dice. The starting point is 4 dice, which are d8s, and 3 maneuvers to put them into. Tripping attack is a favorite, but most of them are really good. Phyllis is going with a riposte, goading attack, and tripping. You can fight me in the comments about how to pronounce riposte. Student of War also allows an extra skill, which must be taken from the fighter list, and proficiency in a set of artisan tools. She's going to take survival and proficiency in stonecrafting tools. All fighters gain a feat at 4th level. Now Phyllis is already supported by both a bard and a cleric, so she really doesn't worry about filling any party gaps. She can focus on fighter stuff. There's a lot of good choices, but Mage Slayer feels right and useful. This feat gives her the needed +1 to strength, but also a get out of jail free card for a spell attack such as Hold Person or Tasha's Hideous Laughter. At 5th level is extra attack, another big step for a fighter's progression. That's the basics, so let's get to some numbers. Taking average with tough and a 14 con, we have 54 hit points. For AC, she always has her shield around and wears a nice set of leathers in town when the threat level is low. That's 11 +1 +2 +2 for an AC of 16. And a breastplate, that 11 becomes a 14 for a total of 19. To get better by just changing armor, she would have to go to full plate. I don't have a problem with the expense at her level, but it's only 1 point because she's losing her dex bonus. I bet that she dreams of finding a set of magically plussed armor, or at least something with an incantation of air conditioning. Our final skill list is Perception, Athletics, Survival, Animal Handling, and Nature. She's no skill master, but remember that she can add a d10 to any check up to twice a day. That's enough to keep that camel in line. She's striking twice around at a bonus of +4, +3, or a total of +7. That means that half the time she's hitting an AC of 17 for a d4 +4 damage and can add another d8 on 4 of those attacks per short rest. All of this with the sapping attack, meaning the opponent is at disadvantage on their next attack. Now these don't stack, but this actually encourages Phyllis to split up her attacks sometimes. Full Send, our heroine orc, gets 4 attacks with Action Surge. They're 2d8 +4 each with superiority dice for an average alpha strike of 56 points of damage if everything hits. Yeah, Phyllis is effective. For the record, this also means that she can almost exactly take herself out in a perfect round. Hey, it's the face again. I realized as I had gotten past writing my script, gotten past recording everything, that I left out the orc stuff. What does Phyllis get for being an orc? So I'm just going to jump in here, throw that in before we get on to the second half of the episode. Orcs, by description, are thickly built, broadly built. You can play with that however you want to. Certainly, players should be able to develop their own orc character. They are sticking with the teeth, with the pronounced lower jaw. So again, do with that what you will. It says they have gray skin, and other than that, it does stress that they're a varied people. You'll build culture, or whatever source you're using will have built culture, and whether that's just for the orcs or the orcs as part of an integrated society, that's completely up to the world builder. Now, the important stuff for our purposes is orc traits. They are humanoid. They are medium. They have a speed of 30 feet. They get Adrenaline Rush. Adrenaline Rush is pretty good. It means that you can take dash as a bonus action. It also means they get a few temporary hit points when they do this. They can do it a number of times equal to their proficiency bonus, and it comes back on a short rest. So this is really good. The second thing, they're not humans, so you know that they have dark vision. They've got good dark vision too, out to 120 feet. See, you see my face, and I start elaborating on stuff, and that's how these videos get longer. The dark vision thing. There's no real reason orcs have to have it. If you don't like it, if you think too many creatures have dark vision, and for your story purposes, for your campaign purposes, this is something you can cut out of probably half the species that have it, and you're going to be just fine. I think that a DM is completely justified in removing dark vision as a perk for a lot of species, and for cutting its effectiveness in half for the rest. But that's just me, and has nothing to do with the video. Reckless Endurance is the orc's third trait. This is also a big deal. If the orc is knocked down to 0 hit points in a blow that is not catastrophic damage, in other words, enough to kill them outright, then they are actually dropped to 1 hit point, which means you're going up against opponent X. They pop you. It would have normally knocked you down out of the fight until you get some help. Instead, you're at 1 hit point, and that probably means that you're getting another fully effective round of attacks, or a chance to escape. Especially with that dash action, you can disengage, dash, and really make some distance. But like I said, You could also just get your next round of attacks in and maybe finish the fight and then crawl off and search for healing. All right, let's talk about bastions. Before we move to bastions, I've got to say it. Can you hit that like button for me? It really matters. Consider subbing. If you've gotten this far, this video must have some appeal to you. Either way, leave a comment. Why are you here? Why are you about to leave? What other videos would you like to see? Alright, bastions, let's do it. When you are planning an economic campaign, even if it's just minimal subjects like a few investments, some political power, and/or bastions, you will greatly benefit from pre-planning. For instance, the first few levels of Phyllis's adventure were all about earning the right to run the town of Armitage. At 5th level, it's time to kick everything into gear, and we're talking about it all in the main series. For now, we are hyper-focused on Phyllis's 4th and 5th level decisions concerning bastions. Hey, but bastions don't apply at 4th level. Well, they don't just magically appear out of the astral. At least, not in my vision. These are things that require explanation. They have to be built, or at least renovated. They are supposed to be largely free to the characters, so that needs a mechanism. Usually it's going to be character effort or a reward from their community. If the latter is true, that community needs to know what the players want. I can picture the scene in Armitage, and yes, I'm assuming that you've listened to the other videos at this point. I can just see the miners and small businesses of the town approaching the party. Well, you see, me and the fellows, we're feeling like we have a real chance to make this place work out here. The mine's reliable. Things are looking up. And we've all been talking. It seems like a group like yours deserves a few things. Well, maybe 2 basic facilities and 2 specialty facilities. That seems appropriate. With a grunt, Phyllis wonders what her options might be. She definitely wants to take on this opportunity for her comfort and for the future of her involvement with the town. Bastions are great when the party is heavily invested into a relatively small geographic area, and that's exactly what we're doing. For now, there's one facility that is of particular interest, the storehouse. The building as written gives the player a guaranteed 10% profit on up to 500 gold pieces in goods per month, assuming that your bastion is cycling monthly and they sell the maximum. That doesn't mean monthly turns per se. It just means that when you resolve the bastion, you count each month as a cycle. So if you were to do a calculation once a year, you're still getting 12 turnovers. The storehouse comes with a hireling who does the work. I'd say if the player is good to the hireling, they can quite easily move to follower status. This probably is going to need a video at some point, but basically, followers are assumed to be loyal. Hirelings are in it for the money. They are more likely to cheat, lie, leave, spy, etc. I would also rule this merchant hireling is considered an expert in trade, which is highly relevant to our economic development system. I'd say put their rating at something like 8 plus 2d6. I kind of want them to land around 14, but with some variance. This is reflected in the development chart showcased in other videos. Finally, I think a couple of more trade and infrastructure facilities could be added to the list. I know there's already a lot of homebrew stuff out there. I just haven't had much of a chance to look over it yet. That's probably going to be in future videos. Alright, what else has Phyllis decided? For her second specialty facility, she's going with a barracks. She is a fighter after all. It fits. Armitage definitely needs more security. After a little development, this option gives the player control of what I would call a militia squad. By the book, these guys are unpaid, so that's kind of why I call them that. They're regular guys doing regular jobs that spend some time for military service. It's not regular military, it's not full-time training. Otherwise, they'd be getting paid. If I was running this, I would encourage the development of a squad commander, NPC, and pressure the player into a compensation package. The barracks can accommodate up to 12 soldier types and is considered roomy. There is an option to expand that to vast to increase the number to 25 for a one-time gold piece expense of 2,000. Finally, Phyllis gets a place to live. By the book, it's 2 rooms, 1 cramped, 1 roomy. That seems a little weird, so I would probably just call it a small house or a cottage featuring a quality that the player chooses. Dining room, parlor, storage, bedroom, courtyard, or kitchen, which of course they could put some money into it and build it up as they go. I would say that normal, and I'm very much putting that in quotes, for a 4-person group is combining their bastions into one big facility. But we're not really doing normal here. Phyllis puts her barracks on the heights near the mine. It's a good defensive spot. It has an overview of the town and the road north. Her home is on what's passing for Main Street these days, right next to the town's new bar. Finally, the storehouse is at the edge of town on the main road. In a way, for the Ponderosa Posse, this whole town is their bastion. We're just kind of merging systems together. Alright then, this is officially a long video, but nowhere near a record. We've covered a lot of territory, and I hope that it's been interesting for you. Do all the stuff, like, comment, and so forth. I've had a great time hanging out with you all today. You are all important to this world, and I'm glad that you're in it. Have a great rest of the day, guys. Cheers.